While I do think that oat milk is the best milk, store-bought is full of additives and is quite expensive for what it is. So I wanted to share how I make my own milk in literally 2 minutes for a tenth the cost. And I'm pretty happy that while making this video, I actually discovered an ingredient that improved the recipe I was even going to share. To a large bowl or blender, add 1.5 cups of water, 1/4 cup of old-fashioned oats, a pinch of salt, and a tiny splash of vanilla extract. Blend for only 25 seconds, any longer and you risk it taking on a slimy texture, and then strain with a fine mesh strainer. Online recipes usually tell you to use a cheesecloth, but I find that a fine mesh strainer is far less messy and more reusable. Yes, it's gonna have a bit more solids, but hey, that's more fiber. And yes, it's going to have somewhat more sediment settle on the bottom than store-bought because it doesn't have emulsifiers, but just shake it. You don't need those, just shake it. So I knew that brand name oat milk was going to be an all-around better drinking experience than the homemade oat milk I whipped up in 2 minutes, but I wanted to see if it was 10 times better to justify the cost. The batch I made with a strainer was refreshing and had a great oaty taste, but it did leave me wanting for something. The batch I made with cheesecloth was quite watery in both taste and texture, something that could possibly be remedied with using more oats or being more persistent with pressing the oats through the filter, but I've found that also increases the possibility of getting a slimy texture. The name brand oat milk surprisingly didn't have as strong an oaty taste, which I enjoy, but was creamier and had a more full-bodied mouthfeel. And that's when it hit me that the something I was missing was emulsified fat. So I made another batch with about a tablespoon of avocado oil, and that made all the difference. It was thicker in texture, had an enhanced oatiness, and it was an overall satisfying experience. So I was happy that my taste test found my typical oat milk recipe to be comparable to name brand, but I was delighted to even improve upon it. At 15% the cost, no additives, and an arguably more satisfying experience due to the healthy fat, I'd wholeheartedly recommend you give my oat milk recipe a try. Enjoy!